if the foundations are broken, what will people be able to do? Even people who have good intentions and want to do the right thing, if they don't have the right foundations, their building is on shaky ground.
And what is that foundation?
Well, for me, it's
how did we get here in this society where we have a whole entire online movement of people who are trying to blame every single one of their problems on men?
My worldview is a biblical one. So I always look at where do things start with man and women. And if we had these same problems right at the beginning, it's your fault, it's your fault. Eve said it was Adam, Adam said it was Eve. They both blamed on the serpent, right? We've had this problem from the beginning. And it's so easy to do as human beings, right? Being personally accountable, looking within, dealing with your stuff, it takes a lift, right? It's so easy to just say that person. And the hard part is there's always validity to it because there's always some faults on both sides. So you could always point to something to the other side and actually be true that there are things that they could do differently. But the tough part is, can you own your own part and can you look beyond their challenges, have some empathy, and actually be able to understand why they may be having those challenges and be a part of that change and that solution.
So being that this has actually been going on for the last 20,000 years,
right.
Is the narrative that we have a problem as a society, is that accurate then? Because if something's been going on since the dawn of human civilization, and yet we've still progressed to where we are today, does that actually mean we have a problem, or are we just continuing to run the same programming that has worked / not worked for so long?
Yeah, great question. For me, it was working at some point until we had that first problem, again, from my worldview. And what I believe has happened is family relationships, they're the building block of everything, right? Everything starts with a couple, it starts with the offspring they have, and then from there, you start to have schools, church, community, political, government, right? But family is the fundamental building block. So when that unit is flawed, and I believe to your point, the matrix, however you like to look at it, has been attacking us for the longest, and understanding that if you get that part wrong, and if they can get us in a place where we are consistently toxic, not able to relate to one another, then everything else is going to topple with it. If the foundations are broken, what will people be able to do? Even people who have good intentions and want to do the right thing, if they don't have the right foundations, their building is on shaky ground.
And what is that foundation?
Well, for me, it's family. It's family, and it's faith as well for me. But just staying on the relationship side of things, it's women having their needs met, it's men having their needs met, and both sides feeling really compelled to want to meet each other's needs and to want to race each other to the top. Instead, we have the reverse now. Everyone is racing each other to the bottom, trying to be selfish. Let me get mine before you do the wrong thing to me. Let me just blame things on you. Let me not be empathetic to what your needs are. And let me just focus on myself and somehow think that that's going to be sustainable.
The mentality that persists with that type of perspective is, no one's going to take care of me, so I have to take care of me. And that's typically the attitude that they're functioning from, because the way that I interact with a lot of disillusioned people, disenfranchised people on the internet, which is always a great place to interact with people, is that the system has screwed us so badly that I can't rely on other people.
Yeah.
I can't rely on this system. I can't rely on this or that or the other. And the system could be either corporate America or the government or whatever. And the disillusion is felt on both sides of the aisle.
That's right.
With that perspective, how could they have not arrived at this, I need to take care of mine and get mine first mentality? And tell me why that is a bad thing.
I think a lot of these things would happen organically if we had parents who taught us the right things, if we had an environment and a community that taught us the right things. And all it takes is one generation to get off stride, and then you break that cycle of people understanding what life really is about. And for me, life is about community, it's about family, it's about being able to relate to one another. We're made to be creatures that are just off on their own. Right. This is why unless someone has some sort of psychological issue or some breakdown or some place where they never got healed, we naturally want to be around people. That's the default mechanism. And to want to be around people is to also want to work with people and to know that you are better with others doing things collaboratively, cooperatively. That's how we're wired. But it gets to a point where people start to feel like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So then they say, well, let me do this on my own. And then they go through that cycle for however long. And then they get to a place, especially when they get older in life, and realize, man, I'm lonely. This kind of sucks. I've killed the world here. I've slayed all these dragons. I make all this money, but I'm still very lonely. I still feel very hollow. I don't have someone to leave this on, this legacy to. And it's really sad. And so I think we have to get back to a framework, from my mindset, of what true development in humanity is. And that's going from being dependent when you're born through childhood, working into independence, which everybody thinks that's the goal. All these women, I'm an independent woman. That's great. Mm-hmm. You're not at the level you could be, which is interdependent. Mm. And interdependent requires a different level. That means I'm good by myself, but I'm great with other people. And and part of my being good by myself is I've learned how to not only just take care of myself and be an adult, because really that's what we're talking about most of the time, is being an adult, but I'm really good at being an adult enough to make room for other people and their imperfections and their shortcomings, and to know how to work with other people, right? And to shore them up and to help them to be better than they would be by themselves. And so not that they're not whole by themselves, but it should be two wholes coming together to be in one person. So 1 times 1. And then that new one, that combined one, is better than the individual one, because now you have two thoughts. You have, if someone is sick, you have the other person who can pick them up. If one person is down financially, the other one can pick them up. That's what it's supposed to be. But it only works when you have people who are willing to be vulnerable, people who are willing to be humble, people who have a servant sort of mindset, which is everything this world teaches you not to do.